You've reached Politomato. My name is Mike, and in this edition, I have what I hope will be some incredible news. The disgraced former FBI director of 30 years, James Blow Me Comey, may very well be going to prison. And no, I'm not kidding or exaggerating. We got a lot to talk about, so let's let it rip. Just in case you guys are not up to speed on this story, here's a quick recap. So yesterday, James Comey posted this on X. Cool shell formation on my beach walk, along with a super cute picture of seashells in the formation of the numbers 8647. Isn't this hilarious? Isn't it just so novel and original? You know, the life of a deep state lib never gets boring. Now, we all know that he was referring to Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States. And if you don't know what 86 means, here's a quick screenshot from Trickopedia. According to Castle's Dictionary of Slang, to 86 also means to kill, to murder, to execute judicially, likely referring to the size of a standard grave being 2.5 feet wide by 8 foot long and 6 foot deep. Other slang dictionaries confirm this definition. Now, I have also heard that it means to take the body 8 miles away and put them 6 feet under the ground. And to be fair, 86 can have several meanings. I've always known it to mean, to 86 something, to trash something. But in the cultural sense, no bones about it, many people know that 86 means to kill. Now, JC may be a deep state swamp creature, and I do hate to admit this, but he's probably not that stupid. He knows exactly what 86 means. So why would he make a move this stupid? Well, I believe it's because he's extremely narcissistic and he feels that he is above the law and above persecution. He's not the only lib pulling this same stupid stunt, and I'm hoping that we can prosecute them all. Here's a screenshot of Gretchen Witmer slipping in a cute little 8645 when she was on Meet the Press. Isn't this hilarious? And here's another screenshot of Ed Krassenstein getting in on the fun and doing his best with 8647 on a pool table. Isn't he so artsy and clever? Well, when the harsh reality that he may be in some really deep doo-doo entered into his brain, JC deleted the entire post and then wrote this. I posted earlier a picture of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took down the post. I don't think a single sane person actually believes this statement. Now keep in mind, I did say sane, so libs, I'm sorry, but you're not in this bucket. Now let's move on to what the possible consequences could be for anyone who threatens the life of a U.S. president. The next slide should make this question abundantly clear. I'm reading directly from the U.S. Code 18 U.S.C. 871, current as of January 1st, 2024, and it states, whoever threatens to take the life of the U.S. President of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. And you can bet your ass, if you or I did what James Comey just did to Lion Biden, our ass would be in prison for the maximum amount of time possible. Now, at the beginning of this video, I did say that JC may very well be going to prison. And to prove that that was not just clickbait, just listen to what our Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has to say on the topic. Spoiler alert, this woman is silverback gorilla mad.
Fox News alert, Homeland Security just launched an investigation into former FBI Director James Comey for threatening to 86 President Trump. Comey posted this picture of seashells spelling out 8647, claiming he just ran into him on the beach. Comey says he knew it was a political message, but didn't know what 86 meant. Tulsi Gabbard's the Director of National Intelligence. Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for. The dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for. So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
How serious is the administration taking this, and what are the next steps going to be?
We're taking this very seriously. As you mentioned, the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically Sean Curran, the current Secret Service director, a man who has been willing to lay down his life as the lead of President Trump's Secret Service detail for years now. He takes this seriously and is leading the investigation into this threat. There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a quote unquote assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left. We, the American people, cannot take this lightly. Whatever your politics, we cannot allow people to get by without being held accountable for this kind of public call to assassinate the President of the United States.
Do you believe that Comey is goading you guys to come after him because he wants to be a political martyr? He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
You know, whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who is issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do.
So as you can see, this one could have some teeth. And can you actually believe that a person holding a government position, especially in intelligence, doesn't know better than to pull a stunt like this, especially knowing that the Trump government and him are not exactly best of friends? But what does President Trump think about all this? I'm going to show you in this next clip, and I really like what he has to say here.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant, and he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard because people like me and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he doesn't.
Well, he
wasn't
apologized
calling
because
for violence. But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen?
What
do you want to see happen?
I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing, and when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop, and if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency, but I'm going to let them make that decision.
You know, it really made me sick how Bair was sticking up for Comey by saying that he apologized. That's very telling. I do especially like that President Trump said that he's going to stay out of it. Why not just leave it to Pam Bondi? But let's hope that it's not all talk, no action from Tulsi. Let's hope that Tulsi is willing to do more than Pam Bondi, who so far has been completely limp on handing over the Epstein files. And that is a topic for a very near future upcoming edition. But everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. And while you're down there, maybe even leave a comment. I would love to hear what you guys think. I thank you all very much for your time. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And wherever you are, keep smiling.